photo of 21-year-old Winston Churchill wearing the uniform of the 4th Queen's Own Hussars Regiment in 1895. This young military officer would later become the legendary Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, leading the nation through critical times during World War II. A farm laborer plowing a field pauses to check his watch at dinner time in Whitby, 1890. In 1895, a woman poses provocatively wrapped only in a sheet for a bold studio portrait. Sharpshooter hunters pose with their dogs in the damp landscapes of the Norfolk Broads. In 1886, the scene captures the traditional sport of hunting, a popular activity among the Victorian elite. A picture seen almost like a painting shows 3 people in a small sailboat gliding over the calm waters of the Norfolk Broads in 1886. In the background, an old house with smoke rising from the chimney adds a bucolic charm, capturing the serenity of English rural life at the time. Working girls known as herring girls from the Isle of Man wash their clothes after a long day of work in Port St. Mary around 1890. The scene portrays the tough routine of these young women who played a vital role in the local fishing industry while balancing domestic responsibilities. A couple with a baby, refugees from floods, stand in front of a rag shop in Lambeth, London in 1877. The annual Thames floods brought constant hardships to local residents, especially the poorest who lived along the river's vulnerable banks. People gather in a dim alley in the Whitechapel slum east end of London in 1888, the year Jack the Ripper terrorized the area. He could have been anyone, a man walking down the street, having a drink at a pub, or perhaps lurking in the background, an otherwise ordinary photograph, keeping the city in dark suspense. Everyday life on the streets of Liverpool in 1880 is captured as a barefoot girl dressed in rags crosses the street. Bathers enjoy a lively sunny day at Margate Beach in 1910. The city's popularity as a tourist destination was already drawing visitors, reflecting the beginning of the golden age of coastal tourism in Edwardian England. A weary-looking newspaper seller works on the streets of Ludgate Circus, London, in 1890. In a scene captured in 1902, a.m., London policeman uses his lantern to inspect a man sleeping on the street. An 1880 postcard shows the Countess of Clancarty in a fantasy costume better known by her stage name Belle Bilton, a renowned singer-actress and music hall performer. Her journey from the stage to the aristocracy reflected the complex relationships between famed theater and Victorian society. An old retired fisherman is seen standing at the door of his home in Whitby. In 1880, his posture and distant gaze seem to tell stories of a life devoted to the sea. A fishing family gathers on the Whitby dock in North Yorkshire in 1890. The father, mother, 2 boys, and a girl lovingly watch the baby nestled in a basket. A woman walks elegantly through the streets of Kensington, London in 1906 during the Edwardian era. Henry Freeman, renowned lifeboat man from Whitby, photographed around 1890, wearing a cork life jacket. He was the sole survivor of a tragic accident in which a Whitby lifeboat from the Royal National Lifeboat Institution capsized. Jane Forbes arrested for theft on January 26, 1905. During the Edwardian era, women accused of crimes were required to pose for police photos, often publicly displayed, reflecting the moral rigidity and punitive outlook of the time. Large ships are docked in the bustling port of Whitby, one of them, with a partially raised sail on its mast in 1880. In the background, a coastal town is visible, reflecting Whitby's significance as a maritime and commercial hub during the Victorian era. Portrait of Polly Swallow, a fisherwoman from Church Street, holding a fishing net in Whitby, 1880. In this 1890 photograph, 3 young fisher girls carrying straw baskets watch attentively as a boy carves a piece of wood in Whitby. A fisherman carefully polishes his telescope in the backyard of his London home, while his wife appears focused on crocheting in the background in 1887. Photograph of Connie Gilchrist, a young British dancer and singer, portrayed as Abdallah in The 40 Thieves at the Gaiety Theatre in 1880. In the Victorian era, it was common for actors and actresses to pose for studio photos, whether in everyday or theatrical attire, reflecting the glamour and theatricality of the time. A woman and 2 fishermen from Whitby chat by the seaside in 1889, likely discussing the day's work. A photo of Whitby docks in 1910 shows 2 men in the foreground, both wearing bowler hats, a symbol of status at the time. A street photographer is captured in action on Clapham Common, London in 1877. Working with his mobile booth, this scene was documented by John Thompson as part of a collaboration with writer Adolph Smith, capturing the everyday lives of urban workers for the renowned Project Street Life in London. Edwardian high society ladies stroll elegantly through Hyde Park, London in 1905, showcasing long, sophisticated dresses complemented by ornate parasols. An 1,857 portrait shows 2 women, apparently mother and daughter, gathering firewood in the rural English countryside during the Victorian era. In the slums, entire families were forced to carry all their belongings when evicted, facing constant moves and insecurity. This photograph, dated around 1901, captures one such family amid a forced relocation, a common scene in the poorest areas of the time. This 1880 photo shows a young fisherwoman examining fishing lines at the old seaport Whitby on Yorkshire's east coast. A woman displays her long hair in a photograph from around 1890. In the Victorian era, women's hair was considered a symbol of status and femininity, carefully maintained and often grown long as a sign of virtue and grace, reflecting the era's rigid beauty standards. A milkmaid and a farmhand exchange conversation in a rural area of North Yorkshire in 1890. The simple scene depicts the slow pace of Victorian country life, where farm work and community interactions were essential parts of daily life. A gentleman with a cane chats with a group of fisherwomen in the small town of Whitby, North Yorkshire, in the late 19th century. A photograph of Queen Victoria, dated around 1860, capturing Her Majesty during a key period of her long reign. A young shoeshine boy attends to his customer on the streets of London in 1877. The scene captures the reality of working childhoods in the Victorian era, when boys from poor backgrounds performed small jobs to survive amidst the city's growing industrialization. 2 waste collectors on the streets of London in 1877, alongside a horse-drawn carriage, carry out their daily tasks. Everyday life in the narrow lanes and alleys of Whitby, North Yorkshire in 1880 is captured in an image that immortalizes scenes from a long-forgotten era. These photographs forever preserve the simple rhythm and hidden stories of local community amidst the expansion of the Victorian era. July 1926, three female friends happily posed together on Chanaclin Beach on the Isle of Wight. The photo reflects the vibrant lifestyle and spirit of camaraderie typical of British summers during an era of growing freedom for women. People on the narrow Gorge Street in Whitby, North Yorkshire in 1890, this bustling, lively street was demolished in the 1930s as part of urban renewal efforts, erasing a piece of local history in the name of modernization. Two women work winding wool into balls at their doorstep in Whitby around 1880. A housemaid washes the steps of a home on Shenaston Gardens in London in 1906. Two women wash dishes in the backyard of a London home in 1887, surrounded by buckets and kitchen utensils. July 1927, a woman captures a fellow beachgoer with her camera on the Isle of Thanet Beach. The scene reflects the relaxed spirit of the time as amateur photography was beginning to gain popularity, immortalizing moments of leisure on British beaches. Three young people enjoy a sunny day at Blackpool Beach around 1920. The image captures a moment of relaxation during a time of great social transformation shortly after the end of World War I. A candid photograph captures a young Londoner dressed in the elegant street fashion of Edwardian women. In 1906, this period is marked by sophisticated attire with high-waisted dresses, lace, and adorned hats reflecting the height of the post-Victorian era in London. On the morning of March 2nd, 1912, the RMS Olympic left was maneuvered into the dry dock in Belfast for repairs. After breaking a propeller blade beside it, the RMS Titanic, Wright remained moored at the fitting-out dock in the final stages of preparation. This occasion would mark the last time the two iconic White Star Line ocean liners were photographed together shortly before embarking on their distinct historical journeys. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe.